Victims of our own ignorance. That's our first, that's the first victim. The entity that we're victims of is avidya. Avidya in Sanskrit. So these are from the Yoga Sutra. You probably know these verses, right? You learn these verses by heart here at places like Go Yoga, don't you? Avidya smita raga dvesha vinavesha pancha klesha. The 5 mental affliction, pancha klesha. Klesha, that's the mental affliction. The word that we translate as mental affliction. It comes into English in words like calamity. A klesha is a calamity. In the Buddhist text, they define a klesha as anything that disturbs your peace of mind. Anything that disturbs your peace of mind. So how many kleshas have you had so far today? What do you think? 7? 10? 100 billion? Gajillion? The right answer is gajillion. Okay? You can't even count them all. Many people are having kleshas right now. Going, what are you talking about kleshas? I'm pissed off at that person and I deserve to be pissed off at that person. Don't tell me I can't be pissed off. Can't be happy and pissed off at the same time. Okay? Can't be happy. I mean, do you want to be happy or not? If you don't want to be happy, then remain pissed off by all means. Because that's pretty much guaranteed to keep you unhappy. If you want to be unhappy, don't forgive anybody. That'd be kind of guaranteed. If you don't want to be happy, blame other people for your problems. That's pretty much guaranteed to keep you unhappy. Because guess how many other people there are? Compared to you, there's a whole lot of other people who are all just waiting to make you unhappy, potentially. If that's how you see it, you see. So try not to have so many mental afflictions about, having mental afflictions. Having somebody point out that you have mental afflictions. Don't have a mental affliction about that. Ignorance is the field for the subsequent... The 5 mental afflictions are ignorance, avidya. Selfness. Asmita means thinking that an irritating person is essentially an irritating person. That's basically what it means. Asmi in Sanskrit means I am. And the ta here is a kind of similar to the English suffix ness. So I amness, literally. The idea that there's some kind of I amness to things, some kind of essence. And for example, a person that you're pissed off at. An irritating person that has the essence of being irritating from their side. Is there any irritating person like that? Who is objectively, essentially an irritating person? What do you think? Yes or no? Think about your irritating person. Does your irritating person exist objectively as an irritating person? That is to say, would everyone find them irritating? Anyone want to quick raise their hand and go, yes, I know somebody like that? I've had students do that. I've had people in classes say, I know somebody that everyone would find irritating. This is somebody who raises their hand before the filter goes on. That says, prevents you usually from saying really stupid things that we all actually think. We all actually think that our irritating people are essentially, objectively irritating. But then we kind of if we stop to think about it for about a millimeter of a second, a millisecond, a nanosecond, we realize, for example, that irritating people have friends. And this really throws us for a loop. How could they're so obviously irritating? How could they possibly have anyone who like? And then sometimes we go to the trouble of talking to their friends. How can you like that person? This is so irritating, haven't you? Let me tell you what they did to me, right? Try to talk to people out of being friends with you. Isn't it? So the proof that there are no objectively irritating people, people who have the asmita, the essence of being irritated, the essence de irritation, is that they're not irritating to everyone. They're not irritating to everyone. So if the irritatingness of the irritating person isn't coming from the irritating person, where could it be coming from? Take responsibility. See, responsibility. Don't be a victim. See, if you think that other people have objective qualities, like being irritating, like being aggravating, like being disappointing. You know, sometimes we get really disappointed by other people too. Why is that? What have we been victimized by then? You see? And I'll just tell you right away, I'll cut to the chase. Your own expectations. And nothing else. It's not them that let you down. It's you that had the expectations that then they didn't live up to. And so it all comes back to you. See, it all comes back to us. Stop blaming other people. Stop disempowering yourself. Stop limping through life as a victim. And asmita is a very, very important component in feeling victimized. That there are some kind of objective qualities out there, people who are irritating, who are disappointing, who are hurtful, or whatever it is, instead of thinking, you couldn't be hurt unless there was something in you that got hurt. You see? Nobody can hurt you unless there's something in you. Nobody can push your buttons unless you have them, right? Nobody can push your buttons unless you have them. And in fact, when they do push your buttons, you can start saying, instead of saying ouch and, you know, F you, you can start saying thank you. I'm saying F you, thank you, T you. Thank you for showing me where my buttons are. How else would I ever know what I needed to help, to fix, you see? If nobody ever pushed your buttons, how would you ever know that they were there? And when they push your buttons, then you can go, okay, time to get busy. See, time to work on that. They've shown me that I have pride. By how? By trying to humiliate me. How else could I ever know that I had pride unless there was somebody who tried to humiliate me? How else could I ever know that I need to develop more patience unless somebody irritated me? See, they're your highest teachers of these kinds of things. Who? Those people out there that you think have asmita, you know, the essence of being irritating or annoying or hurtful or whatever it is. They're your only teachers of the things that you need to fix inside of you. They're pointing at it, right? Asmita. And then comes raga. Raga means wanting something, greed. I've translated it here as greed, raga. Wanting something that you don't have. Thinking that, you know, you're not complete. That you need something else that you don't have in order to be happy. This is one kind of discontentment. If only I had an iPhone 4S. See, I only have the crappy iPhone 3. Siri doesn't talk to me. And if I only had the 4S, then I'd be happy. How's that worked out so far? I mean, not just with the 4S. It's just an example. 4S is probably pretty cool. Until what? Until the 5T comes out. 4S, 5T. I think it's the next, right? Yeah, I mean, over and over and over again. Just thinking, oh, if only I had this, only I had that. This is grasping. This is greed. This is raga. This is the essence of raga. I won't be happy until I get X, or Y, or Z, or, you know, it keeps going. And then the other one, dvesha. Dvesha means if only I didn't have something that I do have, then I'd be happy. If only I could get rid of my brother-in-law, or if only I could get rid of this crappy job that I have, or if only I could get rid of, you know, whatever it is. If only I could get rid of these 10 pounds that I'm carrying that I don't want to carry, then I'd be happy. See? Two forms of discontentment. For those of you in the yoga world, these are the two side channels, the energies running in the two side channels. This is the, you know, kind of fancy-dancy yogic inner body way of talking about two kinds of discontentment. I got raga running in my left channel. Means, I mean, in real life, you know, in English, for real life people who aren't just like yogified, you know, just talking to each other in yoga lingo, it just means I'm discontent. I want something I don't have. And then as I oh, I've got the dvesha. Dvesha's running in my right channel. Means I wish I didn't have this brother-in-law that I have. I'm discontent with something that I have. And that's all it means. You know, it sounds so much better in Sanskrit with inner body and all like that. And so, as you hardcore yogis know, what the whole point of yoga really is to get the winds, the prana, to enter, stay, and dissolve into the central channel, the Ummah. What does that mean? What does that mean? It just means that you're content. It means that you're content. It means that you're free. You're liberated from these two forms of discontentment. So that's another way in which you can think of we can all think of ourselves as being imprisoned, being victimized. We're being victimized by our greed and our hatred, by our desire, by wanting, and by our wish that things that we have go away, by our discontentment. We're victimized by our discontentment. What if I told you that the whole goal of yoga, of Buddhism, of any kind of spiritual practice, any kind of authentic spiritual, the whole goal was to just reach santosha. What's santosha?
Contentment.
Contentment. What if I told you that was it? The whole goal. Because you go, wait a minute. That's not ananda. That's not ecstasy. I want ecstasy. Not the drug. I want to fly. I want rainbow bodies. I want a rainbow body that can walk through the walls and stuff. That would be awesome. I want more. See, that wanting more is itself keeping you from the goal. That wanting more, that thinking contentment wouldn't be good enough. So here's my challenge to you, okay? My challenge to you is that let's all strive for contentment. And then, like a year from now, maybe we'll meet again at Go Yoga, and we'll compare notes. How are you doing? Did you get content yet? And all the people who are content will be unable to say, this isn't good enough. Simply unable. The only people that will be discontent with contentment will be the people who didn't get to contentment. Because if you got to contentment, that would be good enough. That's what it means to be content. And then you can say, well, maybe there's a rainbow body, maybe there isn't. Maybe there's a nanda, maybe there isn't. But it doesn't matter because I'm content. Win-win. Can't lose when it comes to contentment. Can't lose. And what's our excuse actually for not being content? See, what's our excuse? Living charmed, golden lives like we are. You know, here in the Pure Land. Here in the little bubble, the designer samsaric bubble, where everything's going pretty well. Have you noticed? You know, prosperous, well-educated, at peace. You know, at least in your country, nobody's bombing you. You guys are busy bombing everyone else, but nobody's bombing you right now, at least. See, you know, what's wrong exactly? What's wrong? Got all these like ethnic restaurants everywhere. You got all kinds of cool clothes and, you know, hats. What's wrong? See? Why aren't you content? And the answer to that is because of something inside here, not anything external. So the victimization of being discontent is only internal, nothing external. See, we got everything, you know, come on, if you don't believe me, do a little comparison shopping, you know, get out of Brooklyn once in a while or something, you know, go look around the world. You don't even have to go probably out of the 5 boroughs to see like a completely different life than you're leading. You see, completely. Nobody, you know, I couldn't be sitting haranguing them about how come you're not content. We're not content because we don't have enough to eat. We don't have enough clothes. We don't have enough like shelter. See, what's our excuse though? I don't have iPhone 4S. I only have this kind of iPod. I don't have the itsy bitsy one. It's got a big fat iPod. White, and I wanted black. It's at that level, isn't it? Pretty much. It's at that level. So for those of you who don't have the contentment mantra, here it comes. And for those of you who do have the contentment mantra, here's your reinvigorated version of the contentment mantra. This is a mantra that, you know, most mantras are in Sanskrit, and so this one's got Sanskrit in it, so that you think you got a real, genuine mantra. And then it's got a lot of English in it, so you know what the hell it means. And you say this mantra over and over and over again, and when you believe it, you will be content. And not until. So when you say, when you get a mantra, you usually have to repeat it. That's how you get it. It's transmission. Say Om.
Om.
That's the beginning of the Sanskrit part. That's the Sanskrit part. Means here comes a mantra, beginning of a mantra, Om. Here comes the English part. I have enough. Ahum. Ahum is the Sanskrit part also. That means the end of the mantra. Om, I have enough. I have enough money. I have enough shoes. I have enough dresses. I have enough promotions at the job. I have enough friends. I have enough entertainment experiences. I have enough vacations to Lonely Planet countries. I have enough. And when you believe it, then you will have contentment, and not until. If I ask you the question, what more do you need to be content? And if you have an answer for me, that's why you're not content. If you have an answer, what more do you need? Well, I need more money, I need more this, I need more that. You see, that's why you're not content. And the only way to be content is to just stop and say, oh, I have enough of them. So that's actually the raga version of contentment. Then the devesha version of contentment would be something like, and everything I have is perfect. Om, and everything I have is perfect, ahom. You know, every person in my life, every sort of event, every challenge, everything is perfect in my life. And those are the two forms of, and with that you will have the winds to enter, stay, and dissolve into the central channel. That's exactly what it means. If you believe that. If you truly, and not just believe it theoretically, right? Not intellectually. Deeply. Realize, that's what they call realize, right? It's a cool word. Realize means make it real. Actualize it. If you actualize contentment of those two sorts, that's what it means to get the winds into the central channel. So then the last one's grasping, abhinavesha. Grasping means grasping to things that we don't have, grasping for things that we don't have, and grasping in a kind of a negative sense of kind of pushing them away. Ignorance is the field for the subsequent ones, whether they are dormant, dwindling, interrupted, or active. This is all from the Yoga Sutta, right? You've probably studied, many of you studied this before. Ignorance, avidya, is the source of all our problems. All our mental afflictions come from avidya. From not, and avidya doesn't mean that you don't know something. Avidya is not the absence of knowledge. It's thinking that you know something and having it be absolutely wrong. As we'll see in the next verse. So maybe we'll just go right to that one. Ignorance is asserting that impermanent things are permanent. That impure things are pure. That things that bring... sorry, that's sort of like messed up here a little bit. Impure things are pure. Things that bring... there should just be a comma after pure. Things that bring dissatisfaction will bring satisfaction. And things that do not have essences do. That's turning things around. And the purpose of yoga chitta vritti nirodha. The purpose of yoga is to stop the chitta from turning things inside out like this. That's what that verse means. This is the second verse of the first chapter. And then he later defines just how we turn things around. So let's check. Do we ever mistake impermanent things for permanent things? All the time. All day long. We're surprised by change. And change ain't going to change, okay? Change is. Things is changing. Everything's changing. You name me one thing that's not changing. And then some of the Buddha heads that go, I know, empty space. Empty space isn't changing. So who the hell cares that empty space? That's big deal. That's not causing you any problems. Not recognizing that empty space is an unchanging. It's all the other stuff that's constantly changing that we think will stay the same. Or worse, that we think should change in the way that we want it to. And then it changes in its own way, and we go, whoa, I didn't want that to change that way. See? And that's being victimized by reality. I mean, of course, we're our own victims. We're victimizing ourselves. And this is a particularly virulent form of it. Of getting unhappy about the way things are. Are things changing or unchanging? Is your body a changing thing or an unchanging thing? Let's check. Changing or unchanging? And then it changes, it gets older, it gets decrepit, it gets sick, and we freak out, and we go, oh, this is, I didn't want it to happen, I didn't think this would ever happen. Well, of course it's going to happen. If you are born, you will get, if you're lucky enough, if you are born, you will hopefully get old, you will definitely get sick, and you will certainly die. And then we go, oh wow, how could this have happened? I'm sick, I got sick, I'm getting old, you know. Like, you know, all the beautiful people in this room, you know, doing your yoga and all like that. It's wonderful you're doing your yoga, but if you think that your yoga is going to somehow protect you from old age, you're going to just like, forget about it. You're going to come back to Lillian and want your money back. So like, wow, I didn't think the sag would happen to me. You know the sag? The big sag. Gravity. It's called gravity. And after like 50, 60, 70 years, they can't fight that gravity anymore. I don't care how many downward facing dogs you've done. Spinal twists. See? But then we're kind of always taken by surprise, by change. See, things are going to change. So the way to live a happy life is not to feel constantly surprised and victimized by change, but to accept it, to expect it, to not grasp to things that won't change, that you think won't change, to not grasp to them. You can't actually grasp things that are changing. We can try, but it's a fool's game, right? Let's try another one, shall we? Are your relationships a changing thing or an unchanging thing? And not just, you know, all relationships are changing things. Not just your relationship with your, you know, your spouse or your, you know, loved one or something like that. But all relationships are changing, aren't they? Relationships that you have to your friends, relationships that you have to your employers, relationships that you have to your teachers. They're all changing. They're all in a constant flux. And then we go, oh, you know, my relationship changed. I'm so unhappy. Well, what did you expect? See? Why are you feeling victimized by reality? Reality is changing. And it isn't going to stop changing. If it stopped changing, you'd be unhappy with that too. In fact, you'd be way more unhappy with that. Because it would just be freeze-framed. You know, just totally like life would just be freeze-framed. There was a pretty good movie in the 1960s that then got remade into a really bad movie. That was out for about 5 minutes before it went to DVD, starring the great thespian, Keanu Reeves. It was called The Day the Earth Stood Still. Did anyone see that movie? That's right, no one saw that movie. One person over there saw the movie. Did you see the Keanu Reeves version? Or
I saw the original.
The original's not bad.
The Keanu Reeves, like 2 hours of my life, I wish I had that.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, the premise of the movie is that there's spacemen come to invade the Earth, and they have a ray that just stops everything. The day the Earth stood still, it just stops everything. So it's like a permanence ray, where things just become permanent, and nothing moves, nothing changes, nothing can function. So, you know, this kind of fantasy that we have for permanence, you know, there's only one thing worse than not getting what you want. It would be to get that. to get permanence would just be a nightmare. I mean, it would be a horror flick. It would be like, and like the horror, because it would be the most boring horror flick you ever saw. Nothing would happen. Nothing would change. You could put 3D glasses on and everything. Nothing would change. So you know, we turn things inside out, but instead of facing reality, instead of embracing reality, we feel victimized by it. We feel victimized by change, isn't it? But change isn't going to change. Change isn't going to go away. So it's like tilting at windmills. You know that expression? I think it's from Don Quixote, isn't it? Don Quixote tried to fight a big windmill with a tiny little sword or something like that. You can't fight change. You can't grasp to things as if they wouldn't change. So are your relationships changing or not changing? Of course they're changing. And to grasp to them, to say, you know, you're mine. I love you. You know, this is like a really perverse understanding of what love is. You know, For me, Valentine's Day is always like kind of a horror show because you get those little hearts, those little hearts that they give out, those candy hearts. I love you, you're mine. And there's a whole lot of, if you look on the internet for pop songs, there's a whole lot of pop songs like this. I did a wedding one time, I did some research on it. And there's literally hundreds and hundreds of songs that have some version of that. I love you, you're mine. Well, right? And so we've been conditioned to think over and over again that this is love somehow. That grasping like that trying to own somebody else is a proof of how much you love them. Which is just ridiculous. See, just a complete inversion. You got it wrong. Not just a little bit, like he says in the Yogi Sutra. Turn things up totally upside down. We've vrittied it. Our chittas, they've vrittied it. Inside out. If you love someone, this is, I think, some sacred text, that if you love, free. If you love someone, free, set them free. Is that the Bible or something? Sting. But it's true, right? If you really love someone, you're interested in their happiness. You're interested in what's going to make them happy, and you're setting them free to find that happiness. And in fact, you're helping them. You're trying to enable their happiness, whether it has anything to do with you or not. See, that's pure love. That's not the selfish grasping mind. Can't grasp other people like that. You don't own other people. And the proof of that is very, very simple. You could lose them at any time. Any time. And that's not just with people too. It's with possessions, it's with everything. Everything's changing. Everything's changing. So don't be victimized by change. Surf the change. Surf the wave. Don't try to arrest it. It's a losing game. It's a losing battle to try to arrest change. So, a little renunciation goes a long, long way. Part B, cruising through here, right? Here we go.